hear me clearly? Am I clear? Because I just changed the Wi-Fi connection.
Yes.
Perfect. Sometimes in this season of rain over here in Chiang Mai, the storm and wind, sometimes the Wi-Fi is not so good, but now since I changed, I think now it's good. So friends, this is now our 4th week, which is already going on, okay, isn't it? And with the end of this week, we will finish the first module. Something that we all need to understand very clearly is the concept of dharma, the concept of duty. In this first module that we discussed, the first bhava, which is the basis of the entire philosophy that we are going to study starting from the next module. So we want to get enough clarity in this first module in order to move to the second module, because second module is quite intense, which will push you and make you uncomfortable at times, because the truth is always bitter and the reality is always uncomfortable, and we are taught to live a life where questions are not allowed, where faith is said to be the most important. Just have faith, do not question, do not doubt, and just have faith. So we have faith in our religion, or we have faith in what the society has been following, and then we just follow because my parents did it, and my parents' brothers and sisters did it, and my parents' parents did it, and everybody did it, so I should also do it. My teachers did it, nobody questioned, so I should also not question, and I should trust my teachers, trust my parents, trust the society, and just do without questioning. Unlike what we are going to study in the next module, where you should question, you should doubt, and you should critically analyze and think and come extremely close to the reality as it is. When we start living a life which is based on logical thinking, on proper analysis, where we don't get drowned in our own personal emotions or collective emotions of humanity, because emotions could have its basis also in that which is not truth. Okay, and that's how people are tricked into following something. So if I make you emotional, then you would love me a lot, you would follow me blindly. And if I praise you and use extremely beautiful words of love, enlightenment, and make you feel good, flatter you a lot, and also give you some pleasure of eyes and ears, that's what is entertainment as well, where the person is given sensual pleasure. So also people receive emotional pleasure when some leaders, people whom sometimes we follow, they trick us into psychological tricks. And then we never question them. We never ask. We never ask the society, is it right? Is it wrong? And as children, we just grow up like this with blinders. Whereas Dharma says that come extremely close to truth and live a life of truth. So Dharma is not any concept or any idea or just a word. Dharma has to be lived. Dharma has to be followed, lived actually, where your actions should be inconsistent with your belief, isn't it? For example, if you ask any people, anybody, most of the people, do you love animals? And they would say, yes, I love animals. I love animals. Do you respect animals? Yes, I respect animals. I respect animals. Would you hurt animals? No, never, never I would hurt animals. I love animals. I respect animals. I'm against animal cruelty. So these are beliefs. Isn't it? Very nice beliefs. But then, what is on the plate? What are you eating? What are you wearing? So are your beliefs inconsistent with your actions? It means what you are saying and thinking, are you doing that? Or you are thinking something and doing something else? Then actually Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita calls this kind of a person as a hypocrite. He's very bitter in certain scriptures. Some scriptures could be extremely bitter, but they shake you out of that sleep of ignorance, which we all are sleeping in. Because we have come to live a life which is, where we feel comfortable. And then we have our own excuses to also justify violence. Also justify that how it is okay to hurt someone else for our pleasure, for our food, for our clothes, for our entertainment. When we are not the victim, we can give many excuses. But when we become the victim, then we know what is pain, what is violence, when we become the victim. So it's very easy to victimize others and then say it's okay. I love animals, I respect animals, but still I eat animals. That's okay. And then we give several reasons, several excuses, many excuses. But when a person, this is one example, but in life we have to make so many choices. See, a fish or a duck or a cow, they usually don't have to make choices. A fish doesn't have to make some social choices, some economical choices. Okay. The fish has a smooth, easy life. But when it comes to human beings, we have to make subtle choices where we have to think so clearly that, am I hurting somebody? Am I harming somebody? Am I doing something which is against the law of nature? So the law of nature would say that fish belongs in the water. That is the law of nature, dharma. What is the dharma saying? The fish belongs in the water. That is the reality for the fish. What is that intrinsic essence for a fish is to swim. The fish has the right to swim, isn't it? The bird has the right to fly. The snake has the right to slide. We have the right to have our freedom of speech. If somebody takes away from me my freedom of speech, it's against my dignity. And if we take away from the fish the freedom to swim, if we take away from the bird the freedom to fly, then we are going against the nature, the natural law, the universal law. We are going against Dharma. This is one aspect that I'm trying to show you. But in our daily consumption, we have become so blind as human beings that we go on consuming, we go on taking, we go on destroying, we go on harming, we go on accumulating, and we never ever think that, is this right? Is this moral? Is this justice? Is my life a blessing to others, or my life is a pain to others? And how can I make my life a blessing to others? First to myself, and how can I work and do some things in my life so that the other people are uplifted, other animals are uplifted, or I am the reason of pushing them down, harming them, destruction. So Dharma says that live it. Dharma is not something that you have to search for it, you have to study it. Dharma is to be lived in actions. And we have to make a choice of Dharma. So these asanas that you're doing, the pranayamas you're doing, or this things that you're studying right now, is to come closer to a life of Dharma. So that is the reason diet is very important. Consumption, not only diet, but also consumption is so important. What am I consuming? From where are these things coming from? What I'm wearing, from where did it come? What I'm putting in my mouth, from where did it come? Do I have this power of analyzation? Do I think that from where are these things coming to me? Okay, what I want to change in my life, what I want to keep in my life, and is it in accordance with Dharma or not? So my objective is that since we are coming closer to the end of the first module, and we are going to very soon start study of scriptures, we are going to start study of Sankhya Yoga, the Sankhya system of Purush and Prakriti, of material and consciousness, material principle and the conscious principle. We're going to start studying about the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the Bhagavad Gita, the certain concepts of Vedanta. We are going to study something that is so pure, so beautiful. But if our lifestyle is not in accordance to what we are learning, absorbing, then it does not create a harmonious environment. It is like I'm teaching something, you're learning something, but then what we are doing in a real life is completely opposite. And this is what is happening today in so many places, that people are eager to learn, eager to absorb. The teachers are also there teaching, but then very few talk about the lifestyle, the ethical principles of living, the ethical principles of consumption and diet that make us a human being. It's a big waste then, where we are just understanding things in theory, but we are not actually putting in our practical life. When we buy things, when we consume things, when we put things inside our body, and also when we act, are we acting in accordance to what is being taught? and being learned. So my only focus for this week, of course, we are going to study a lot, but is to ask you to think, to reorganize and re-examine your way of living, your way of eating, your way of consumption. From where are these things coming from? Which are there in your kitchen, in your cupboard, in your house? What are you feeding your children? Okay. Whom are you supporting? When you invest, whom do you support? Okay. I used to study about commodity market and share market as a teenager. I have always been curious about how the world works, and have always been very curious to understand economics. From where does money come? And how is this money circulated and distributed? And I enjoy studying and analyzing that, how also the production and distribution occurs in the society of wealth. How is wealth produced and distributed? And there is a huge inequality in it, unfortunately. Even now that we say we have become so modern and we have the best modern technology, and we have internet, and we have reached the moon and the Mars, and we have spaceships and some very, very sophisticated technology, including nuclear bombs. I would say destructive technology. But the human mind is able to master everything. But in spite of so much advancement, yet we have a child dying because of hunger. And not only one child, we have millions of children dying, not because they are sick or they have a disease. It's just that food did not reach to them. Food did not reach to them. And that's why they died. And how many people on the earth think about this? That in my own country, so many children died today because of hunger, or they did not have clothes to protect themselves in cold. So I but I studied in this commodity market, where the big distributors and producers and people who really buy the grains and the spices and the rice and the lentils, and now there are also eggs and meat and all that, which comes from violence. And they will accumulate, store in big, huge quantity and sell it at a very high price to make money. And especially when there is a famine and a crisis, they will take the most advantage in order to satiate their greedy desires. And this is the kind of world we live in. And when we have so many yoga teachers and so many religious teachers and so many leaders, why are there still children dying of hunger? So we have to bring a change first in our own self, in our own lifestyle. How much do I eat? Because the food is there in the fridge. And now there is the stomach, and there is a greed. And without thinking and analyzing, I put food in my mouth because I have money. So I can walk in the supermarket and buy a lot of food because I have power, I have money. have this stomach and this tongue, then I abuse my power. This is against Dharma. So I cannot teach Dharma without following Dharma. I cannot teach anything if I don't follow Dharma. So it's extremely important to analyze the most small things, smallest things. And we should become a human. That becoming a human is nothing different from Dharma. That is Dharma. So when our hearts and mind, when they become so vast that with every morsel of food, if you are able to think of others who did not get food, and if you are able to give a helping hand to them, do something for them, then it's a life worth living. Otherwise, everybody eats just for himself or herself. This is everybody doing. But when we actually start to live for others, then we could say it's a life of Dharma. And we can reduce suffering of others. First, we can look at suffering of others and reduce suffering by changing our life style, the way of thinking, the way of action. Otherwise, my yoga course would just stay a superficial course where you will learn some asanas, pranayamas. I will put you in some alignment, some very phonetic sessions where I would be so stringent about your position of your toe and your feet. And well, I am very, very careful about that. But it's not just limited to this. If we can't expand in our consciousness and we can't think properly, then it would just remain a very superficial course where Jeenal just taught you, okay, some asanas, pranayamas, and you felt good and there was a release of endorphins and you felt good for some time. But we want to bring a collective change through an individual change. We want to raise collective consciousness by raising individual consciousness to make a difference in this world. So I hope that the first module that we are just about to finish, you have given your effort, your best to stick to a diet which we call it as plant-based, vegan diet. Not only that, but your attitude towards food and what you have bought, what you have brought into your life, and how you relate to all those things, and to the humans, and to the animals, and to the nature. Okay. The first module focuses on that through the 4 bhavas that we studied: Dharma, Jnana, Vairagya, Aishwarya. Isn't it? So friends, this is just a little push. Maybe the words might feel a little uncomfortable because we have to change, we have to think, we have to analyze, and sometimes the society has just put blinders and just asked us that, no, don't think. And the society has even told you that to hate those people who impel you to think. So that's why on a Facebook, if people post some nice holiday of beach, you get many likes. But if you share some truth, you get some backlash. isn't it? But, well, yoga or any other path of spiritual discovery would always say to think, analyze, and never just follow the rat race or the herd or the crowd. Think for yourself. So if you have any comments, any questions on this, you may share. If